I'd like to talk to you for a few minutes about some options we have when dealing with conflicts and problem solving. I call them the 3 C's. The first one is competition. One response we might have to solving problems, working with others, and dealing with conflict is to go into a competitive mode. What does competition sound like and look like? Well, in sports we do it all the time. In business we do it to sell our product. In interpersonal relationships we do it to get attention. And competition is a well-known aspect of our lives. We see it everywhere we go. Even when we go to the polls to vote, we're competing with the other side to get our candidate to win. Perfectly legitimate and frequently used choice is to compete. We compete generally to defeat. Now the other one that I like to mention is compromise. Compromise is different. I work with you to see if we can come up with a solution where you know you're going to lose a few things you want and I'm going to lose a few things that I want, so we can come to something that we can implement or do together. Compromise is a standby way of dealing with things. It's been part of the culture forever and ever, and it's the way we do move forward. Just as competition can move us forward, so can compromise. The problem with compromise is people go away thinking, well, I only got part of what I wanted to get out of that, and it isn't quite what I was hoping for. So we compromise, but later we tend to despise what we come up with. Just as compete might lead to beat, compromise might lead to despise. There is a third option, and it's a more difficult one. The third option is to collaborate. Collaboration. People tend to think of collaboration as some sort of extended compromise where we work a little harder, a little longer to come up with something we can both stand. But I'm here to define collaborate differently. I would like us to think of collaboration as you getting out of this interaction what you want and my getting out of it what I want, by the two of us working to create something that neither one of us has thought of before. This is a real stretch. It means we have to listen to each other, it means we have to generate ideas we may never have had before, and it means that we have to take some risks. You know, in the natural world, collaboration is part of how nature works. Sure, it competes and it compromises, but we see collaboration all over the place in the natural world. First of all, female and male come together to create a baby. In the universe at large, we see that oceans bash against rocks for eons of time as the waves wear away the cliffs and the rocky formations to create sandy beaches. You don't get sandy beaches without the interaction of two very different elements. Third one that's kind of interesting is that oxygen and hydrogen come together in the right proportion to make water. There is no characteristic of water and oxygen, or no characteristic of water and hydrogen. When they come together, they can make a new element. That's what collaboration in its best form is about, coming together across our differences to create something that neither one of us could have created alone. It's the definition of creativity. It's the hardest interpersonal process to manage, but it can be the most exciting form of thinking for moving us truly forward. And it occurs to me in closing that in the world we're living in now with very complex problems, but high awareness of our diversities, especially our mental diversities, we need to concentrate on collaborative processes and get better at doing them, managing them, and having them accurately and adequately facilitated. So what are the takeaways from this short discussion? 1, competition moves us forward, but it's very difficult and somebody loses. Compromise gets us forward, but it's different from collaboration, because in compromise you get some of what you want, and in collaboration you find a way to get all of what you want, which is why it's a very difficult, challenging option, but the most productive way to move forward as a group.